So because it's Christmas, sort of Christmas time, I thought it's a great opportunity to speak about some of the teachings of Lord Jesus Christ. So, like I mentioned a couple of weeks ago, we talked about this subject that people often think in terms of religion instead of spirituality, and instead of understanding that spiritual knowledge is transcendental. Transcendental means beyond this material world. So the knowledge is beyond different religions or different groups or societies or churches or mosques or whatever. Right? There's essential teachings, spiritual teachings, that the great sages and saints have handed down since time immemorial, and they've handed them down for our benefit. They already have a transcendental life, and they're simply sharing and passing on the knowledge to give us the same transcendental life, a happy life, a peaceful life, one that's full of inner joy, that's not determined by anything that's going on in the world, whether our relationships are going well or not so well, whether the economic situation in our life is going well or not so well. None of the, whether, we've got really nice things to eat or a nice place to live or whatever, right? None of those things actually, we want to make it so none of those things actually affect us in the core of our heart, that we can rise above the duality of this world, the ups and downs, the conflicts and so on. And so one of the really essential teachings, vital teachings of Jesus was to forgive others as we want to be forgiven. And inevitably we'll be a little bit like, well, I didn't do anything near as bad as the other person. What have I got to be forgiven for? It's like that we all should know that we are imperfect, and we do want to be forgiven for any of our trespasses, anything that we've done or said, or the way we've behaved towards another person. We want to be forgiven, and we need to be able to forgive others for whatever they've done, whatever hurts they've caused us. And if we don't, if we want to hold on to the resentment instead, if we want to feel justified in our kind of coldness in our heart, our response, then we won't feel, we can't feel the happiness, the peace and the love in our heart, because God is in our heart. And if we're not prepared to forgive somebody for their shortcomings, then we can't ask to be forgiven for ours. It's that simple. And if we can't forgive somebody, then that is like a wall that we've set up around our heart, and or a weight really, and it will weigh us down in our life. It will stop us from really living a happy life, because we've got this part that we're holding on to. So we may have, a whole lot of things that are going really well and relationships that are going really well, but we may have this little part that we're holding on to that we don't want to forgive somebody because what they did was just like really, can I say it? Really shit, right? Do you know what I mean? It's like, I would never have done anything like that, that kind of thing, it's like, and so that little part, or maybe it's a bigger part, it doesn't reduce without us working on it, without us praying for help to be able to forgive somebody. And so, we can try and forgive somebody. Some things are easy to forgive and other things are harder, And so the things that are harder, then we need to ask for help from a superior authority, right? The supreme person wants to give us help. We need help, and he wants to give us help, so it's a perfect arrangement. And God is pleased when we want to forgive somebody. Right? It's not like you're saying that what somebody did was okay. I'm not saying that, right? People do some horrendous things. So it's not like it's okay, but we can forgive a person for being imperfect. That's basically what it is, right? They're not perfect in their knowledge, they're not perfect in the way they're related, they're not perfect in anything, right? They're not Krishna, they're not God, right? It's pretty weird for us to expect other people to be perfect. I mean, we're all just little spirit souls down here on a planet with all our conditioning and baggage from lifetimes after lifetimes and stuff. So we come into the world and we hope that everything's just going to go smoothly and it's just going to work out great for us. And, inevitably we think, we're a really good person and, we have shortcomings. So we need to be able to work on that. And so this time of year is a really perfect opportunity for us to reflect on these teachings of Jesus about forgiveness. Forgive others as we want to be forgiven. There was a situation where somebody was going to be stoned. A woman was going to be stoned. And Jesus said to the people there that all were ready to stone this person, "Let he who hath not sinned cast the first stone." And then slowly, everybody put their stone down and walked away. And then he said to the person, go and sin no more. Right? So it's like, if I am imperfect, if I have some faults, then what am I doing judging somebody else for their faults? Right? It's a really basic, crucial teaching and understanding that we can apply in our daily life and experience a greater sense of peace from that. I just wanted to read a little bit by my spiritual teacher. This is in a book that's called Forgive and Be Forgiven. Right? Now, in this world, you have relationships where your love for God can be squelched, that can be smothered and covered by our anger and frustration and resentment towards others. We're all part and parcel of the Supreme. Imperfect as you are, if you chant the holy names of God, your heart will be purified. If you relinquish all your anger and resentment, and even your position as a fault finder and perfect person who is worthy of judging others, if we put that aside, then we will actually taste the nectar of love for God. So I asked Kamil to come and speak about a situation that was close to her heart because it involved her mum, right? And it's about forgiveness. And we don't want to be in a situation where we wait till we're dying, really, to forgive others. Can you give Kamil the mic? Yeah, maybe come over here, because then you'll be filmed.
So my mum left her body about 4 years ago, and it was actually a very incredible journey. And so she had cancer. It was a third cancer that she had, and this time she landed in palliative care. So I decided to move in, and I was with her for 3 weeks. And in that time I witnessed a very incredible journey. for the topic tonight, forgiveness. One morning when I was with her, she looked at me and she was still able to speak at this stage and held my hand and said, Carmel, please forgive me for my wrongdoings. And naturally, I said, "Man, gosh, you were the most incredible mother. There is nothing that I can forgive you for." And she held me tighter and looked straight up in my eyes and said, "No, I'm serious. Please forgive me." And it really landed. It was like, there's something deep that Mum's going through that I need to respond back in an appropriate way. And so I said, "Of course, Mum, of course. All is forgiven." So I meet with my brothers and sisters. We were sharing the caring role, and I shared with them in that evening what Mum had said to me, and each of them said the same thing. And it was like, oh my gosh, this is something really big that Mum was going through, that this act of asking for forgiveness is much bigger than what I realised in the morning, that this is something. Now she had accepted that she was going to be leaving her body, which was a really hard thing to come to terms with. She always fought her cancers and was successful, but this time there's no coming back from it. And it really had a massive impact on me that this is an extremely important part of the dying process of leaving this world, of making sure that if you've offended anyone in any way, in the smallest way, that the slate gets clean, that you ask for forgiveness. So I shared it with Gopala, and she was like, wow. And I was the eldest of our tribe, and I included that in the eulogy, because Mum's a devout Catholic, some of you met Mum, and she was, quite an impactful kind of person, but more I'm on at other times, but forgiveness is so important, and we find ourselves, so puffed up at times that it was like Gopala was saying that I don't want to, get low, bow low and say, please forgive me for, offending you or upsetting you. You always want to feel like you're right. And like Gopala said, don't wait to the time of death, clear whatever little misgivings there are now. It's actually it's such a liberating thing to do. It's so beautiful. So. I hope you got one.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Carmel. Okay. Yeah, and so if you want to live your life now, then we deal with stuff now. Don't put it off, and use this time, because none of us have got a contract. So use the time wisely. Dig a little deeper. And see if there's stuff that we're holding on to, things that we're resentful. Resentful means we're not forgiving somebody, right? So, we can dig a little deeper, and, with the help of Krishna and the help of God, we can become free from our feelings of, I'm right and the other person was wrong and all that kind of stuff. Just remember the teaching of Jesus as well, that, forgive others as we want to be forgiven, and, the person who's going to throw a stone at somebody, better make sure that, you haven't got any imperfections yourself. Thank you.